My wife might have cheated. Is this enough evidence? Wife, 31F, and I, 33M, have known each other for 8 years, married for 6. First of all, thank you for taking the time to read this. But also, please bear with me as I haven't slept properly in the last few days and my head's been spinning around like crazy. My wife went on this work trip abroad with a few coworkers. First couple of days, they were all staying at a hotel, and even though she had very busy days, she always FaceTimed me at the end of the day. Everything seemed fine. On the third day, 2 days ago, they moved to a different location to work on a big project with other local coworkers. Day was stressful, so she didn't write me much throughout the day. She writes me 4h later, at around 11 p.m. their time, saying that she's going to the sauna with her female friend she's supposedly sharing a room with. Let's call her V. She's from abroad. The sauna is in this compound where they're staying at, and it's something common to do in the country. Except it's quite late for that, given the long day they had. She then writes me 2:30h later at 1:30 a.m. saying, I'm going to sleep, write you when I get up, love you. And I write her back. No mention of being tired, no mention of not being able to do a call, no mention of what she had been doing for the last 2:30h. I'm not controlling. It's just something she always communicates. It felt really distant, cold, and out of character. And I got this really bad gut feeling. My gut feelings are usually right, and I don't disregard them. For reasons I'll explain further down, I had a bad feeling the whole trip, but nothing that really tingled my spidey senses until now. So I had to find out what was up. She left her laptop at home, which syncs messages, so I could see things happen in real time. She had a message thread with this guy, let's call him K. Last message she sent him was at the same time she wrote me last, and it was a single emoji. A heart with a band-aid. I'd never even seen that emoji before and have no clue what it means. I left the laptop open while I was getting ready for bed, and holy duck, I see a message from my wife saying come to room 3. At this point my heart is racing like crazy. I'm shouting, I'm crying. I'm devastated because even though I had a bad feeling, my wife was the last person on earth I ever thought would do something like this. I've had a prior relationship where I was cheated on a couple of times, and I learned to recognize the type. My wife was the complete opposite, or she's just excelling at hiding it. So I'm running through all these scenarios in my head. Maybe room 3 is something else, and they're going to party with other people a bit more. But why write only K? Maybe he's going through some stuff and he needs to talk. Maybe she's asking K to come to her room for V, the roommate. But why didn't V write K in the first place? What would K do with V with my wife in the room anyway? Barring any kinky stuff. Is me wife even staying at the same room as V? She told me a week before she left she was. But they could have switched while my mind is still racing. I see that K's message hasn't been delivered. Maybe he doesn't have battery. 1 hour later K writes, going there. The message stays unread. So I'm thinking maybe she's asleep, and he'll knock on the door and go back and write her back. But the message stays unread for the next 7 hours, during which I forced myself to stay awake because it's the only way I can see anything happen. And then, in real time, I see the whole thread get deleted. At this point the few legitimate scenarios I was holding in my head completely vanish. 1 hour later my wife writes another coworker saying she has K's phone and to let him know. K and my wife don't write each other the whole day. Now the reason why I had a bad feeling the whole trip was because a couple of weeks earlier, my wife, a friend, and I went out for drinks and met her coworkers. I had met a few of them prior, but not K. I heard of K in passing, and I don't think she even works directly with him, which made sense as to why I would always hear much more about the other coworkers. We go to this bar, we're dancing, K is holding something in his hand which my wife takes from him and puts in her pocket in a teasing way. And that's when I had my first gut feeling. She's acting very differently towards this coworker vs everyone else. We all go outside, I'm talking to someone else, and she's talking to K. She's very close, she touches his arm for 2 seconds too long. A couple of minutes later they hug. Because this whole week she had been overworked, going out with her coworkers and showing little affection towards me, but she's doing it towards this guy. We go home, I say exactly that, and that I'm going to sleep in the sofa. She blows things out of proportion. How do you dare? Packs things in a backpack and says she's going to a hotel. It's too late. No hotel will check her in, so I say go ahead. She leaves, but I don't hear the door downstairs close. She left her iPad at home, where she's logged into Instagram. Not proud of it once again, but I had to see what's up. I see a thread with her making some plans for a drink with this other guy she hasn't seen in years, but it didn't seem that suspicious, a fake they've always been just friends. And then I see that get deleted in real time, so I get really hung up on it, missing other threads being deleted that I didn't get a chance to read. Because I was drunk, I text her about these plans. She first says he only wants to see her friend. I told her that's a lie. Then she says they didn't really make plans. I told her I saw the messages. She keeps denying it, never saying that it's just a friend or something. Then she switches to how dare you doubt me again, and I'm so stressed at work. I'm sorry I'm not enough. I can't be everything to everyone. I tell her if I misunderstood something, that she can't come upstairs and we can clear it up. She comes but again doesn't clear or admit anything. And the convo is all about how she isn't enough. She was crying uncontrollably. I felt bad, so I went to sleep next to her. Because both of our weeks were quite busy. We don't talk about this again, but we make plans to do so when she comes back. Last couple of days before she left we went on dates and had amazing sex. In the message thread with Kay, I could see some slightly flirty messages from both sides about her sleeping on his shoulder on the plane. No way they got adjacent seats due to how the check-in works, so they had to purposefully move. Although since all coworkers spent a lot of time together in person, it makes sense that there's not a lot more in that thread. Yesterday, she got to the hotel, I know because of Find My iPhone, so I waited for her to write me/call me. I waited for half an hour, and I wrote her asking if she was still out because I'm going to be. She calls me saying she just got to her room. Her neck, all the way down to between her breasts, is red, I can see due to what she's wearing. Like when we're making out and my beard is short and it rubs on her skin. I ask her about it. She acts surprised like she didn't know, and tells me it was probably her scarf. But this is clearly on one side only and goes down further than a scarf would. I didn't want to press further because I can't let her know I'm onto her too much. I still need hard evidence. That we proceeded to talk for 1h, but she was a bit fussy, not like other days when she gets to the room and immediately starts getting ready for bed. She has pretty much the same routine. Always. It felt like she was delaying getting ready for bed, except for putting on pajamas. So I keep stalling, trying to see if Kay is going to write her, or vice versa, and then I ask her about the sauna. She says she barely went in because it was packed. Then I ask her other details and they don't seem to line up. I had been awake for 36+ hours at this point, so I was recording to convo to make sense of it later. We ended the call. I finally went so sleep. Sleeping never felt so good. Woke up this morning. No messages from Kay or my wife to each other. She FaceTimes me a couple of hours later. Besides a quick check-in, she says I'll write you whenever I can. If I don't, it's because there's a lot happening and it's hard balancing being here and being there. It's not because I'm doing something else that you might be thinking. If you made it till here, thank you, thank you, thank you. My head has been spinning round these last couple of days, there's so much I'm not sure of. But divorce has been on my mind constantly. We had plans to buy a house and have a baby next year. Even if nothing happened, she betrayed my trust by telling me she was going to sleep and then inviting Kay to her room. Even if that hadn't happened, she betrayed my trust by maintaining a closer relationship with Kay after I said I wasn't comfortable with that. She's risking her career. I'm sure her coworkers would be suspicious by now, and her relationship. And I can't really live the rest of my life looking at every single thing as a possible sign of cheating. She had 2 symmetrical spot bruises on her thighs that I only noticed a couple of days after she went out with her coworkers that she couldn't explain, and I sure as hell didn't cause them, or feeling forced to snoop. But at the same time, I feel like this is all too weak as evidence for a divorce. Our accounts are separated, logistic reasons, too long to explain, so it's not that simple. The car is in her name. I can't just threaten a divorce, or discuss it with her, because I'm afraid she'll move the money and I'll have to start from scratch. And ultimately, I'm heartbroken because I love her so much. She is the love of my life, my soulmate. But I also feel like the person I love isn't there anymore. And all it took was a couple of days. I really don't know what to do next. What if I'm wrong? Edit. She's now being very flirtatious with me over text. She hasn't been like this in weeks. Edit 2. Forgot to mention she's been working from home since she joined the company in January, so she's only met her coworkers maybe a dozen times in person. Edit 3. There's no new apps purchased on the App Store that I can see, but something occurred to me. They both use Slack for work, which is much more convenient and hideable than starting to use a separate app. Edit 4. She called me again. She is back at the first location, staying at the hotel. Worked from the office all day. One of the first things she told me was her arm was bruised and she might have bruised it at the other location, but doesn't really know how. I couldn't see it on camera because it was too dark. She then said, I'm all bruised up. Well, not all bruised up, just this bruise. Weird.